Hello, hello, hello. Hey, everyone. How are you? It's Gina with Transformative Healing through Art and Coaching. Welcome to another episode of Transformative Healing for Mental Health and Trauma. I'm your host, Gina. Thank you so much for being here this evening. It's been a while since I was having some issues. It wouldn't connect for some reason. It's a little laggy out here. I don't know. Um, Definitely good to be back. I haven't been on in probably it's gonna lag. I haven't been on in probably what 2 or 3 weeks, I guess now. It's gonna drive me nuts. Um, Hold on, I'm trying to eliminate some of this stuff here, see if that will help. Um, Give me just a minute. Sometimes these things are just crazy. So drives me insane. So I apologize. I get to working and then I literally forget to kind of get rid of a bunch of the stuff that I have that's probably hogging more stuff that's happening. So so I apologize. So how's everyone doing? Our hiatus for the last 3 weeks is so as you know, oh whatever, it's rude to chew gum and be on a live stream. I like chewing my gum and being on live stream. If you can't handle my gum chewing, then sorry, maybe this isn't the place for you. um, Most of you know that from October leading up until like now, almost every month except for December. October I was sick for 2 weeks. Um, October and November I was sick for 2 weeks. December I was okay. Come the first part of January I was sick for 2 weeks. And then I started thubbing the last 2-3 weeks of January into February, actually into January I guess. And then you know everybody around here has the flu, and I just don't think that they are really sterilizing classrooms, or parents. That's another subject, but parents are just sending their kids to school without them being fever free for 24 hours, without any symptom free for 24 hours. They think loading them up with Tylenol, ibuprofen, and all of that stuff is sufficient. I get it, because you don't want to lose your job. Hi, Michael. um, and so you end up just masking the symptoms of what's going on. And so then you're sending your kids to school, they're sick, and then everybody else is catching the germs. And unfortunately, I ended up catching the flu. I believe I'm going into my 4th week, and it's miserable. I was in bed for 5 days. I had a very high fever. I just couldn't shake it. And then it was like, um, and then it started attacking my lungs. I have asthma, and so it started attacking my lungs, and it got to the point that I was having shortness of breath. I had to go to the doctor, not once but twice. So now here I am on steroids again. I should have brought out all my medicine. I know it keeps lagging. Give me a second. Um, See if I can get rid of some of the stuff, because it's driving me bananas. So I apologize, but I'm on all kinds of medicine now, and breathing treatments and steroids, and just trying to get up and move, so it doesn't settle in my lungs anymore than what it already has, because it is. And so I thought tonight would be very appropriate to talk about chronic fatigue, even though chronic fatigue and Okay. Can you hear me now? Am I back? If this stuff lags again, I swear I might have to throw this computer out the window. Not really. Yeah, they're firing everybody. So, I was trying to get back in here. Thank you. So, wherever I left off at. So, anyway, let's just start over and, really quick. I won't go into everything that I already said, but, yeah, I was out here earlier. And I haven't been out here in probably about 3 weeks. I try to come out here and, do a couple things. So anyway, I'm revamping a few things. And so what I want to talk tonight about is a little bit of chronic fatigue. And we, as trauma survivors, chronic fatigue is one of those things that we can have because it messes with our nervous system. And when it messes with our nervous system, it hijacks our amygdala and our brain and all of that good stuff. And so, being sick. So where I was going with this is, that started sick. I've been sick since October off and on. Ended up with the flu, ended up again, like I said, in bed, urgent care twice on all these medications and steroids and all this stuff. And, I didn't put any makeup on. I just put a little bit on, but I didn't really do a whole lot today. And I was looking at myself and I was like, oh man, I really am a little pale. Like it really, really drains you. And really trying to, here we go, lagging again, really trying to stay up on, my vitamins and all of that stuff too. That's super, super important. It's going to lag and I'm just really going to be irritated. I don't know why it keeps doing this. It's really driving me mental. I must have a good message. I guess that's apparently why, that the internet always seems to go out. Oh, it's not lagging on your end. All right. Well, it's on mine, but I guess when you always have a powerful message or something powerful to give back, sometimes the enemy likes to come in and shoot up and, stop a live and do whatever and whatever else under the sun. And so sometimes it does get to be annoying when those types of things happen. And so I apologize. Not exactly sure why these things happen. It just absolutely drives me insane. It just seems like, I guess I haven't been out here in a while. So of course, things need to be updated and this needs to be changed and that needs to be done. And so, you know how that all ends up happening when you're trying to get on and do things and stuff like that. So, how's everybody's week going? How has everybody been? Anybody else have the flu? Or I know some, there's some on there now. I just kind of lost everybody because now I don't even know where the heck oh my word, this is so stupid. Click off one thing for a second and then it's like I lose everybody under the sun. Anybody else? How is everybody else doing in the winter? And the days are getting, the days are getting longer now as far as by the time it gets dark. I know on the East Coast it gets a little bit of, a little darker earlier than us. Things like that too. So my screen totally just went away. So hopefully you can still see me, hear me. I can't even do anything. This is nuts, but until somebody tells me otherwise or Sly texts me and tell me that you can't see me, I'm still here, but and hopefully I can still see you guys because this is just nuts. So yeah. But I just think that, going in and really taking care of yourself and all that stuff. Okay, good. Yeah, my screen just totally went off for a second. So I apologize. I don't even know. I guess maybe again that, here we are and I haven't been on in a while. But nonetheless, I just think it's important to talk about, I like to have open discussions with each and every one of you. We're very transparent, have a lot of open discussions. And I really like that we can have that here. And so, as always, if there's questions or anything like that you have during the live, you're more than welcome to put them in the chat. And there's a lot of exciting things coming for us here at Transformative Healing. Not only am I using the art, but I'm doing the coaching, leaning more towards the non-clinical art therapy as I see a lot of the benefits that are happening versus just the traditional talking and things like that, especially where it comes to reprogramming, your subconscious and stuff like that too. So, has anybody been diagnosed with chronic fatigue, or you just feel excessively tired and you're trying to figure out, man, why don't I have any energy? Is it just the winter blues? Is it my depression, my anxiety? And you're really trying to figure out exactly why maybe you just don't feel the greatest. Um, you know, they always say that, we get older, our energy depletes. And I firmly believe that, but your energy shouldn't deplete to the point that you're wanting to sleep all day, or, or you're, you just don't want to go out and do anything. You just want to kind of sit on the couch all the time and things like that. Yeah, that is some of the things that comes along with depression, anxiety, and stuff like that too. But on top of that, what happens when you do end up having fatigue or chronic fatigue, and and what is it? What is the things that come along with it? So one of the things that we can describe it as, it's kind of like um, it's like you're trying to swim with weights on your ankles. It's like your body isn't weak. You're just carrying extra weight that no one else can see. And so it's, you're trying to move. It's like having something strapped in your ankles and you're trying to move forward. And every time you're trying to move, it's harder and harder and harder. It just becomes harder for you to move. And so you're kind of like stuck. So you're every time you're trying to move, it's like your feet are cemented into the ground. And, you try to get up, you try to get motivated, you try to do what you can. And, and you just can't. So a lot of people think, oh, it has to do with your adrenals, which, yeah, it is. And things like that. But what it really stems down to is it goes back into fight or flight mode, into the threat and danger of everything that you've gone through in your entire life. And obviously we are a trauma and mental health podcast, but I bring in a lot of other different things along the lines of things that we're talking about that are mental health and trauma related topics. And so, fatigue is one of those things that your body's just so used to doing, scanning for threats and dangers, that your body just kind of goes into overdrive. And when you go into overdrive, it hijacks your amygdala. And then that's when you stay in the ruminating thoughts, the negative thinking. You stay in the fight or flight. And that's when the excessive nervousness just continues to overflow your entire body and do what it needs to do. And so, over time, it just gets harder. It gets harder to move. It gets harder to do anything. And you just feel like, man, what's wrong with me? When in fact, there's really, it's not that you're broken or anything is truly wrong with you. Nonetheless, it just means that your body is just trying to push harder. Your body is just trying to go forward harder and harder and harder. And what you're doing is you're depleting your energy, because now your body is working twice as hard to try to overcome what's happening and give you more energy. So it's the same thing when you work out, or you're the same thing when you're doing different things. You may notice, like if you're fishing, because I know I have a lot of fishing fanatics on here. So you may notice when you're fishing, and then all of a sudden it's like you get tired, and all of a sudden you get a burst of energy. Well, then you get this burst of energy, and you go and you start fishing even more, or hiking, whatever, walking, hiking, whatever you're doing. And all of a sudden you get this burst of energy, and the energy may not last as long, and you're depleting that energy really, really quickly. And you're depleting that energy really, really quickly. And so your muscles burn even when you're not pushing hard. So you've already depleted your first energy. Now, you may not be pushing too hard. Well, yeah, and you get that burst when you catch a good one. Absolutely, you do. That's the adrenaline rush. And that's the adrenaline rush. That's the adrenaline that, that's kind of that euphoric feeling that absolutely is amazing. Oh, sorry, my nose drives me nuts. And that feeling is absolutely amazing. But what happens when you come off of that feeling, kind of that healthy high feeling? A lot of times you feel drained. A lot of times you're like, man, my energy is just depleted. That's kind of how it feels. But then what happens is you always feel like you're failing, like you're falling behind. And then the worst part, no one can see the weight that you're carrying. So you're carrying all the extra weight, and it's like you're trying to move forward, but you're stuck. So the more you try to move forward, you just become even like you're kind of stuck in the place. You're just moving slowly, moving slowly. And if you're trying to move with something strapped around your feet, you're going to tire off very, very quickly. But think about it, to everybody else, we look fine. They don't understand that we have something going on. A lot of people will always say, you know, you look fine. There, you could, we don't know, what they say, like, you look fine, like as if nothing's wrong with you. And a lot of people judge a book by its cover, but I guarantee if you sliced and diced me on internally, you would see the after effects of trauma, the after effects of what mental health does. The after effects of stress, the after effects of fatigue, increased cortisol. What does that type of things do for heart disease, lung disease? So those are all things to take into consideration, and stuff. And so again, to the outside world, we look fine, but realistically speaking, are we fine? How many people put on a fake smile and say, "Oh, I'm fine," when realistically speaking, again, you're not fine. But because of the stigmatization on mental health, a lot of us go around with a smile on our face when inside we are just aching and hurting so deep. But because we are so afraid of, excuse me, we're so afraid of people, stigmatizing us and labeling us, so many of us decide to not go get the help that we need. Well, we turn away because there's other traumas in the mental field, and so going to the doctors is something that some people don't like to do, again, because then you become labeled, and then they don't listen to you. There's not a lot of trauma informed physicians, a lot of trauma informed psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, coaches. There's a lot of them out there, from spectrum to spectrum, timeline to timeline. There's a lot of different ones that are on there that truly are not trauma informed. And so your chances of being re-traumatized increase. And so that's why a lot of people are like, and they don't look at the root cause. What is the root cause of chronic fatigue? And it's not because you are absolutely, yeah, I agree with you, Scott, people labeling. And so it goes back to, when you have chronic fatigue or you're tired, people look at you and say, "Oh, you're lazy, you're out of shape, you're not trying hard enough." When in fact you truly are. But in reality, you're working twice as hard just to stay afloat. And then it turns around to exhaustion. People say, "Oh, you're just exhausted because you're not sleeping." Well, no, I'm not sleeping because my brain is in this constant spiral, and it's not even about being tired anymore. There's so much more to this. Um, and so think about it. If you could literally get a full night's sleep, would that really solve your problem? Would that solve your fatigue? Chances are no, because it's a continuous. It's just a continuous cycle. It's a continuous cycle. It's how the nervous system is handling the energy, and that's what it goes back to. Goes back to that. You know, and some people, even if they do get a full 8 hours of sleep, there's some people that only need 6. But even if you get your full 6 or 8 hours of sleep, most people that have chronic fatigue end up waking up drained, sore, and completely out of energy. So then you're waking up worse than you were when you went to bed. So it's kind of like, man, what's going on? But again, it goes back to the nervous system. It goes back to the amygdala being hijacked. It goes back to your fight or flight. What is happening in your nervous system that is continuously spiraling your nervous system? It goes back to your body isn't storing and releasing energy properly. That's what it goes back to. Your cortisol levels are shooting up. Your anxiety is probably high. Your muscles stay tensed even when you're resting. I mean, think about it. If you could do this, and I've trained myself now that I've noticed this. A lot of times, I'm hoping I'm not going to lag again, so I apologize. Um, a lot of times I will be sitting, not I it doesn't really happen to me so much anymore, but there was times when I first started on my recovery journey that I would sit here and if you notice my shoulders are like really relaxed, like I'm actually really relaxed. But I would feel I had to train myself to be mindful of when my shoulders would do this. And I literally could feel yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know. There's really nothing I can do to I'm trying to like get rid of some of these other things that I have to see if I can get rid of them, and I don't know why these stupid things will not shut off. Um, but I could feel my shoulders when I was in the middle of, whether I was with a client or whether I was doing my own education and things like that too. There was a lot of things that I was doing, and I literally would feel my shoulders do this, and I could feel like no neck coming, and I was like, this, excuse me, I could feel it. And then, I'd have to relax my shoulders. And then sure enough, guess what would happen? It would happen again. Thank you guys. It would happen again. And I was like, man, what the heck is going on? But that's because your muscles stay tense all the time, even when you're resting. It's because your brain never fully shuts off. You're in this constant state of fatigue, which is fatigue, fight, or flight mode. And so your body, you'll feel your tense body. There's times even when I go to sleep, I don't have restless leg, but there's times that I go to bed and my body is so tense, like I just want to jump up and start doing jumping jacks. Does that happen to anybody else? It's a different feeling. You really, it's like your muscles are tense, but then you want to like shake, and it really irritates me that I just pray to God, just let me go to sleep, please, because I can't deal with that feeling. It hasn't happened to me very often, but it does happen to me every once in a while, and it really just drives me up a wall. Um, and I'm like, yeah, this is just crazy. Exactly when it happens and stuff like that too. And so remember, a lot of the things that we experience, whether it's the negative thinking, the ruminating thoughts, the anxiety, part of your depression, because depression, anxiety, they fuel a lot of the negative thinking in the brain and vice versa. A lot of it stems back to your nervous system. Your nervous system is still dysregulated. Um, yeah, yep. And so Sly says, restless leg feels like your legs are tense but relaxed at the same time. It's odd. Yeah. Um, and Scott, you don't sleep well either. Absolutely. And so, it may be something, to look at what other things are out there to help you. And and I've offered this before, like there's some people that love to journal, there's people that love to do art, there's people that love to do breath work and somatics, um things like that. But I would be willing, to even do to show you the 40 circles. The 40, you don't even have to do 40 circles, actually you could probably do 10. The centric circles. There are so many different art related techniques that to help you relax your nervous system before you go to bed. And so, I love the neurographic art. I absolutely love what it does. I love what it does for me. I did it with my daughter last week, and we did the jar of gratitude. And I just wish that I would have had a camera to catch the energy when the energy I want to say soared, but like the energy just kind of went through her body when she was working. Like she was like freaked out, but amazed at the same time. And it was just a neat expression to see her. Like she was like, oh, and then all of a sudden she was like, whoa, what is that? And every time she'd put her hand on where her fixing circle should have been, it was like she was getting this electrical feeling. And she's like, holy smokes, mom, this stuff really does work. And she was skeptical too. But when we don't sleep well, a lot of it again is, our anxiety, our depression, and that relates back to what is the root cause? What is going on with your nervous system? What are you doing to deplete the energy? What are you doing to actually get yourself so you can sleep a little bit? And I know in the summertime, I'm sure like in the summertime when you get out and fish, things are different. You probably do sleep better. You're out in nature, you're out, on the water, you're out where you can get all the positive ions from the tree and the environment and the ground and all of that stuff. And so it's probably a little bit different, but in the wintertime, we really have to double down and take care of ourselves because now there's so many different things that we're dealing with. And again, one of them, when we are with constant fatigue. So it doesn't matter, again, how much you sleep, if you eat well, if you take breaks, literally it's never enough. It's truly never enough. And things like that too. So, well, if you haven't slept good since the house burnt, the only thing I can suggest for you to do is put some smoke detectors out. I know we have one, but you should probably put some more up and make sure that they work, and then maybe you'd sleep a little bit better. So, just a little tidbit of information. Yes, we have some, but you know what? Maybe you should put some more. Maybe you'll feel a little bit safer and more relaxed, knowing that if something were to happen as a trauma response, if something were to happen, that you have, you have those smoke alarms, set up in the home to catch some sort of smoke and things like that. And so that may be able to help you sleep a little bit more too. And it's going back and looking at, especially people that have OCD. I feel bad for them because people that have OCD or, again, excessive anxiety and things, they always go back and check to make sure their doors are locked, their windows are locked, curtains drawn, all of this types of things. And then they go to lay down in bed and it's like, oh, wait a minute. Did I unplug this? Did I do that? And so now you're going back and you're ruminating, you're going back in that ruminating. And what that stems from, obviously, is nervous system dysregulation. And a lot of this is exactly what it is. It goes back into, your internal energy system, which again goes back to your nervous system. And that's where your nervous system controls your body. It controls how your body produces, stores, and uses energy. Hey, Dave, thank you so much for being here. And so if you're not getting everything that you needed, then obviously you're going to have the fatigue, not being able to sleep, or you're going to be oversleepy, but not being able to sleep. And so in a healthy system, your body knows when to work hard and when to recover. When you need energy, it gives you fuel. When you rest, it helps you recharge. And so let me read that again to you, because that's a huge thing. In a healthy system, your body knows when to work hard and when to recover. When you need energy, it gives you fuel. When you rest, it helps you recharge. And so Michael said it's hard to clear the head once it hits the pillow. And there's a lot of people that when you lay down, it's very hard to clear what exactly is going on, and things like that. And here's why. Throughout the day, we're busy. We're busy with life. We're busy with kids. We're busy with wives. We're just, our whatever we're doing day to day, we're just busy. At nighttime is when we are trying to relax, but because we've ignored and stayed excessively busy, we didn't give attention to the mind as far as what was going on. And so there are, again, there's techniques that you can use when you do go to lay down before you go to bed that could help you. One of them, again, is the centric circles. That's a part of the neurographic art. We could even do one of those on a live, if you're interested. You can get a hold of Sly, or you know how to get a hold of me, but you can get a hold of him. We could even go into a private Zoom with just us, and I could just teach you. So then it's not really on a live stream like this. But it's just really one of those things. What you're doing is circles or harmony. And what you're trying to do is the conflict that is in your mind, that's ruminating in your mind, you're trying to harmonize it. You're trying to bring everything that you're doing and you're trying to harmonize it. And so there's some people that do, 40. I've tried not to do 40. You really need a big sheet of paper. And let me see if I might even have one that I did, and then I'll continue on just to kind of show you. But what I love about doing the neurographic art is just the fact that it reprograms the subconscious. And so I'm revamping a new website. And as I'm revamping the new website, I'm really putting a lot of questions on there about what is neurographic art? How does it truly work? Bringing in a lot of the reprogramming of the subconscious. And what happens is all of this stuff that we're talking about is deep rooted in the subconscious. So it's going from subconscious to unconscious to conscious level. So you're working at all three levels. And when you bring everything in, that's when the change starts happening. So I think that there's 40 circles here. Don't quote me, but I'm thinking there is. As you see, I didn't finish coloring this, but what you do is you do your circles, and then where they intersect, you have to round. And the rounding, this looks a little complicated, and I understand we would never start at this level. But what this does is it starts, as you're doing your circles, you're harmonizing what's going on in your subconscious. As you do your neural lines, your neurographic lines, here what this is this is your thought. So what you're doing is you're connecting your thoughts to the outside world. And then when you start doing your fixing, I didn't finish this one. I did get the rounding and stuff done. But then as you start affixing it and adding your field lines, you're actually working on the conscious level of everything that you are trying to repair and rewire in your neural pathways in your subconscious will actually start taking change in your in your conscious levels. And so it's just been a lifesaver for me. I've really enjoyed doing it. It looks hard, but it's really not. It's very, very, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's just being guided through kind of like the process. But it really is helpful. Now I'm going to have, it's really helpful for, if you have blocks and limitations, chronic fatigue, anxiety, depression, behavioral issues, if you have money issues, a lot of things that are going on with money issues. There was something maybe that was brought up about money. So you can actually start manifesting money. It's using the energy. It's nothing evil. At first I was like, yeah, no, it's not evil. I've, all the things that I've done. And, I don't believe any of that other garbage, I guess. I'm just going to say it out there. So what it does is it works on your emotions. It works on your nervous system. And how it works is through neuroscience, neurophysiology, psychology, and art. So the neuroscience is what are the after effects of trauma? What did the after effects of trauma do to my body, to my lungs, to my heart, to my brain, all of that. So what it does is as you're drawing, it takes all of that neuroscience. The neurophysiology is where the trapped emotions become trapped in the physiological systems, which is our entire body on the cellular level. So as you're drawing, you're literally drawing out all of your emotions that are causing your nervous system to be stuck in overdrive. And so there's some people that cry excessively. There's some people that have no emotions. There's some people that have anger. Some people that your window of tolerance is very, very small, which means you can't be around people, or you can't go places and do things because your window of tolerance is very low. It helps you regulate your emotions, which is like emotional intelligence. It helps you regulate your nervous system because as I'm guiding you and asking you questions, it goes back and I can help you on the process and say, oh, I noticed you chose this color. And you may have an emotional release that maybe you let out a sigh. Maybe you cry. And those are the types of things that you may see as you're doing it. You may have a thought. You may have something that comes up. The process is gentle. And so I can't say enough about it. It has been a game changer for me. And so, when your body is constantly fighting to stay above water, so it never stops burning energy even when you're resting. So again, it's because of the threats and the danger that your body is constantly perceiving is why this is happening. And then what ends up happening is over time, the constant drain leaves you completely depleted. So then again, you don't have any energy. Um, and then they'll say, oh, well, why don't you exercise more? Or, you have to do movements because it reduces stress. Or, oh, just try caffeine, drink more coffee. It's okay to go buy you a Monster drink. But then you realize that none of that is removing the extra weight that's around your ankles that's keeping you put. So as you're trying to move, it's like you have something around you and you just can't move forward anymore. And so as I started researching, it was last May, so almost a year ago, it'll be a year in May, when I first went on this adventure of neurographic art. Um, and what I loved is that, I may not have seen results right away, but eventually I did when my body started feeling safe. My body started feeling safe is when I really started noticing, holy crap, like this stuff really does work. And I mean, my energy, I've shared this before, but the energy hit me so hard from one of the drawings that I was doing. It was the score, which is one of the ones that we used to eliminate abuse in the past. That hit me so hard that I literally almost fell out of my chair. That's how powerful the energy was in this drawing. And so what I love is instead of covering up your symptoms, neurographic art helps to retain your nervous system so your body can restore its natural flow of energy. And so what it does is it works on removing the negative emotions. It helps to regulate your nervous system. It brings in mindfulness. It brings in breath work. We teach you to breathe. And so you've been with me long enough to know that traditional talk therapy, traditional coaching, I say it week after week that I'm here. There has to be more. You can't just do traditional talk therapy and you can't just do traditional coaching, which is a form of talk. You can't do either one of those without doing some sort of side door approach modality that is going to excrete all of the trapped emotions in your body. There has to be some sort of movement or something to tap into the subconscious. And so again, neurographic art, breath work, somatic movement, trauma release exercises. And trauma release exercises works on the somatic level, which works on the body. It doesn't so much work on the subconscious. But neurographic art and breath work, those two are ones that really tap into the subconscious. I like neurographic art because it's more artsy. You don't have to have anything. And I can tap into my subconscious as I'm drawing, and I love it. And it just, it flows and comes out on the paper. I don't have to worry about fighting with my ruminating thinking and my stinking thinking, I like to call it, as I'm trying to do breath work. And for me with asthma, just one of those things that just doesn't sit well with me. I've tried it. It's just, I'm not at a safe place that I can really do it. And so again, I'm here to help and to bring you truth. I don't want to sugarcoat and say, oh, if you're coaching, if your therapy's working, your counseling and all that is working for you, absolutely. But there's going to come a time that I feel like, and just coming from my own personal experience, that I was stuck in this ruminating. Sorry, nope, not the word I wanted to use. I was stuck where I was, and I didn't see that I was getting any better. And so I was like, there has to be something else. Like there has to be something else. I don't want to become re-traumatized by talking about this every week. There has to be something else. So because of the caring nature and compassionate person that I am, and the things that I study and research and the whole 9 yards, probably why I keep getting sick, because, I just keep taking on more and more and more, because I'm just so intrigued with everything, stuck in a rut. Yes. That there's so much information out there that I want to get to you guys. And you have to be able to do traditional talk therapy, coaching, counseling, or whatever with a side door modality in order to have effective healing. And I will go toe to toe with anybody and argue that you have to. I look up Janine Fisher. Gaber Mate, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. Look at what they say. They are some of the top leading trauma experts in the world, very world renowned, um, amazing doctors. And, especially when it comes to a lot of the complex trauma, CPTSD and all, and all of that, they're all working together to try to get it on the DSM-5. So if they get complex trauma on the DSM-5, it would probably wipe out 80% of the diagnosis codes on there. And so, of course, that's why a lot of it is not on there, because it's all about this, and we all know that. And so, yep. And so by overloading, what do you do? So Scott said, I overload myself daily mentally. So you just stay constantly busy, and then at the end of the day, you're drained. Is that kind of what ends up happening to you? Because if that's what you're doing, that is a maladaptive coping mechanism. And a lot of us do it. I'm not just obviously just saying, Scott, just to you, because a lot of us do it. We stay busy because we don't like to know, we don't want to deal with what's going on up here. And a lot of it is because people don't know how to control their thoughts. They let their thoughts control them. So if we stay busy, we don't have to worry about what's going on up here until we go to relax. And then all of a sudden we're like, well, wait a minute. I didn't take care of what was upstairs today. And now I'm trying to relax. And guess what's happening? Now I'm kind of screwed in a way, because now I'm not, tell her I said hi, and now it's like, oh, I'm not taking care of that. And it's just like, oh, okay. So thank you. And I know that I'm not just pointing it to you. I just like when you say these things, because it opens up the conversation, because I value your transparency and your openness. Excuse me. Because I'm sure that there's somebody else, even though, I don't have a whole lot of people obviously on, but I'm sure there's somebody else that's probably thinking the same thing. They're just not at a place that they feel comfortable saying it. So tell her I said good night. I love her too, and saying it. So I really appreciate your transparency and stuff, and that, that you're open and honest, and, and feel safe enough to share your views here. And we can use that as an example to let other people know and to educate them. This is why people do this. And it's not just you, because there's times that I do it too. I was so afraid of my ruminating thinking that I would let my thoughts control me. And I'm learning there are still instances in my life that I'm trying to gain control over. And so I keep busy so I don't have to think about them. And I'm learning to say, you know what, Gina, it's okay for those thoughts to come through, but it's what you do with them. Are you sitting there letting them fester up, and then you're building up your anxiety and your depression? Or are you taking hold of those thoughts and saying, you know what? No, I'm not allowing you to interfere with my life, and I'm not allowing you to do this. And kind of take control and say, you have no control over me. I'm not allowing this to happen. And so it takes time. It takes a lot of time in order to be able to do that. And so again, it happens more at night, or, depending on when you're sleeping, I should say, but most of us, we sleep at night, and things like that. But it does happen when you're trying to sleep, because you're trying to relax. So in that moment, everything comes flooding in. So what I would highly recommend, if you do have trouble sleeping at night, again, if there's ever a time you want to do, we'll just call it 10 centric circles. I can guide you through that process. What are you listening to at night before you go to bed? What are you watching before you go to bed? That doesn't sound right. Like, what are you watching before? But then I'm like, yeah, I guess it does sound right. But, before you go to bed, what are you watching? What are you listening to? What have you been listening throughout the day? What type of music are you listening to? Are you really listening to the lyrics? Um, are you really listening to um, things that are positive or things that are negative? How are you speaking outward? How are you speaking about yourself? So those are things that we have to take into consideration because those are things that play a factor into our ruminating thinking. Again, can actually help or not help, but can actually bring us down and cause fatigue, chronic fatigue, um, to really take a toll on us. So, that's just one thing, that you really want to take into consideration is, throughout the day, what are you listening to? What are you saying? A lot of us, when we come from the trauma world, a lot of us have a negative inner critic, which is that inner critic portion of us, which is kind of like our soul. The inner critic the inner critic is the one that tells us, when we're trying to do something, and they'll say, you're a failure, you're stupid, you're a moron, you're an idiot. I told you couldn't do that. And it's like that little bad guy. My mind is a little green guy named Fred. And Fred has not been around in a very, very long time. Praise God, hallelujah. But now that I brought him up, he's probably going to be around now. But nope, Fred has not been around in a very long time. So I'm not even letting him back in. But the inner critic, because I've worked so hard on myself, the inner critic is something you can change, and you change it through the way that we talk, the way that we think, getting your nervous system regulated, getting your emotions regulated, the emotional intelligence. There's so many different things that you can do to actually help yourself. And so it's looking at whatever side door modalities, whatever strategies you're looking to use. And it's looking, what you're trying to do is retrain your nervous system to stop overreacting so you can function normal again. And so again, the reason these things are happening is because your nervous system is dysregulated, your amygdala is hijacked. And so we're trying to look at ways to help you get out of those. We don't want you to go and do, there's a lot of you that kayak fish, and, you fish again, because mostly it's men in here. And so you guys are all fish fanatics. And so, you're trying to balance your energies. And then what ends up happening is these small tasks leave you wiped out. So you could be outside for an hour working on, your kayak, or inside working on your kayak, trying to get things together for things that are coming up for the fishing season. And you're like, dang, why am I so tired? Why don't I have any energy? Like, I was able to be out here for 5 or 6 hours at times, but now I'm lucky to be out here for an hour. You really need to look at what's going on with your nervous system, what's going on with your emotions. And so what I love is that through, through neurographic art, you reduce your energy drain so your body stops overworking itself, which is huge. You reset the stress response so your muscles can finally relax, which is huge as well. Again, you balance energy levels so small tasks don't leave you feeling wiped out. Improve deep recovery so sleep actually refuels you. And the goal isn't to force yourself to push harder. So, excuse me. So what ends up happening is during the course of the drawing, you're actually resetting your nervous system. And through the thoughts of the lines that you're drawing, those are your thoughts coming out. So anything that in the subconscious that we don't even know about, you're putting on paper. And so that's how we learn to rewire and repair the subconscious. So again, it goes from you're intuitively doing it. So you go from your subconscious to your unconscious to your conscious level. It's a really neat process. It teaches your nervous system to let go of the unnecessary tension, stress, and energy drain that keeps you exhausted, again, through subconscious reprogramming. And it really does. Like, you will just, again, because this is what I'm trained in. I absolutely love it. But again, I give you a lot of open feedback about other modalities and stuff like that too. So it's really tapping into the subconscious. And there's only a few ways of tapping into the subconscious that are actually safe and effective. And so, I like to bring, again, things that are really going to help see change and transformation. That's what I'm about. I'm about seeing you go from here to here, point A to point B. I want to see the transformation in you. And, it may take me 5 years, but maybe it's not even about convincing you. It's about, I mean, I guess in a way it is, but it's about bringing you truth and I guess bringing you facts. And I can bring you the facts and I can bring you my opinions of it, obviously, as a trained professional. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I mean, I do have monthly memberships and stuff like that. Yes. But my goal here is not really selling you anything. My goal here is watching you transform your life. And if I see you in the pit and I can reach my arm down there and say, hey, you know what? Let me help you out of that pit. And I have something that would help you keep you out of that pit. Chances are you're going to try it, or at least I hope you would. And that's what it is. It's about, it's because I have such a big heart, because I always say that, be the adult you wish for as a child. And I know, they're obviously we're all adults and stuff like that. But basically what that means is who was there for us? And not that I'm trying to rescue anybody by any means. I just know the things that I've endured. A lot of the things, not a lot, but people have shared things with me. And, and so I know some of the things that we've all gone through. And maybe some of the things that I try, maybe they don't help you, but you won't know if they don't help you if you don't try it for yourself. And so there are so many different things out there to help. And again, it becomes skeptical. And I totally get that. It's like, oh, I don't want to try new things. If I try something new, that's out of my comfort zone. And that's where we need to push. You need to push a little bit outside of your comfort zone and be with the uncomfortableness, because the uncomfortableness, when you start leaning into the uncomfortableness, you start building confidence. Your confidence increases. It's because you're dealing with what's on the other side. What is the uncomfortableness? And so as you slowly start dealing with that, you get a confidence boost. And so, yeah, so chronic fatigue, it's not about weakness. Again, it's not about going to the gym, about drinking monsters or energy drinks and drinking caffeine and espresso. All that's going to do to you is give you, a energy boost. And then all of a sudden you're going to feel more crappy because that energy is going to wear out. And that's not what we want to do. And so, hi, Trevor. And so, it's looking at the body, it's stuck in survival. And so when your body's stuck in survival mode, you're constantly burning energy when you don't need to. And so the pattern can be retrained. And so with the right tools, you can stop struggling to stay afloat and finally move through life with ease. Your body was designed to have energy. It just needs help relearning how to recharge it again. And so, again, it goes back to, when you're stuck in survival mode. And so constant energy, when you have that constant energy, it goes back to the constant energy, goes back to the cortisol levels. So when your cortisol levels spike because you're in this fight or flight mode, you're constantly in survival mode. So what that is your body's perceiving, it's looking for threats and danger. So you're constantly hyped up. So when that happens, your cortisol levels shoot up and then you dump adrenaline. And adrenaline, think about it, fight or flight. If you go to get in a fight or something happens or whatever, you're fleeing, you get that burst of energy. And that burst of energy is the adrenaline. Well, then you're going to pump cortisol too. You're everywhere. You're so funny. And so when that happens and you do not fight or flee to eliminate the cortisol and the adrenaline that just dumped, it redeposits back into your body, back into your physiological systems. And that's where it starts wrecking more havoc on everything, whether it's your heart, your lungs, your mind, all of your systems, respiratory, heart, lungs, endocrine, all of them, lymphatic. That's when, it really starts taking a toll on all of that. Then it starts taking a toll on your nervous system. And then you stay in this ruminating perceived danger of fight or flight. And so that's what we're trying to do. And so if you have chronic fatigue, it's not a sign of weakness. It's something that, you have to work through what is the cause of it. And that is your nervous system. You really have to work through, how do I regulate my nervous system? What am I doing to regulate my emotions? What am I doing during the day? Am I ignoring things that are going on? And most of us, that's exactly what happens. Are you ignoring things that are going on? Are you actually working through what's going on? I know Scott loves journaling, and there's some people that really do love journaling. Are you journaling? And when you're journaling, are you paying attention to what you're journaling? Are you getting out there and you're hiking and walking? Do you notice a deplete in your energy? And things like that. And those are the things that I really feel like, coming from the mental health side of things, those are the things that we really need to look at. As far as, what are you doing for your own self-care? What are you doing to take care of yourself? What are you doing in, I know spring's upon us. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus, because I can't wait. My self-care is sun. I can sit outside for all hours of the day. I love being in the sun. That is my natural immunity boost. Even in my office, my window, and I can actually sit there and let the sun kind of soak in, even in my bedroom window. And I'll stand there and just let the sun hit me and just warm up my face and stuff. And it's just, I love being out in nature. I love being outside. I love, the positive ions that absorb through our feet. Just being outside. I just absolutely love nature. And so fishing. And so, fishing is wonderful. Come spring, clear up until fall, early winter. But it really stems down to, going back into, here we are in the winter months. What do we do in the winter? And stuff like that. What are we doing to actually take care of ourselves? And stuff like that too. What are you doing to take care of yourselves? And self-care is not about going and spending money and saying, oh, I'm going to get a massage. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But self-care is about making sure you're taking care of yourself. What are you doing when your nervous system becomes dysregulated, or your emotions flare, and you all of a sudden your window of tolerance is like, holy macaroni, like I have this much window of tolerance, when in fact, you could have like this. So I like that. I like that you said that. So Trevor, I go to perpetual adoration once a week in our chapel, very calming, centering for me. And it is. And so that's a wonderful thing. That's, praying, going in there and praying and meditating on God's word, and and sometimes being around other people that will, praying with you or praying for you, or just being around those types of people, is a wonderful thing as well. And so it is, it helps to center, and it's very calming. And so, and that's what I say, like prayer, meditation, guided meditation, neurographic art. You can do breath work. There's mindfulness. There's a lot of different things you can do. And it's things that you need to do during the day for yourself. You can do things weekly, absolutely. But sometimes self-care is one of those levels that it needs to be every day. And it doesn't have to be anything major. You could sit down, if you have kids, or if you don't have kids, and you could do a guided meditation. YouTube is filled with a lot of guided meditations, where basically you put headphones on if you want. You don't even need headphones, but it's nice. And you literally can lay on the couch, sit back in your recliner. And what it does is it guides you through a guided meditation of you somewhere. You could be on a remote island. It'll tell you the sun shining in your face. It'll tell you like you're laying in a hammock and you're swaying back and forth and the wind is blowing, the sun's in your face. You feel the warmth from your sun, and it just guides you for about 5 minutes. And obviously during the guided meditation, it'll tell you to breathe, because as trauma survivors, we sometimes forget to breathe until our brain says, "Hey, wait a minute, you're not breathing. You have to breathe." And so guided meditation is it's a very relaxing technique that you can use. It centers your body, and it'll say to you, like, if you feel your mind ruminating, which means if you feel your mind wandering and you're like, "Oh, what's for dinner? I have to take a shower. I have to do this." No, what you want to do is you want to focus back on the voice. So that's when you really, really, really need to do what you're doing, and things like that too. And so it's really looking at a lot of what you're doing. What are you pouring into yourself? And that goes back to a lot of it. It goes back to, what are you listening to? Said this in the beginning of our live, and though we had some issues, but it said it in the beginning. What are you listening to? Who are you around? Who's speaking life into you? You know, Lyrics. Matter of fact, like, this will give you an idea. We had our daughter's 21st birthday party the other day, and our Saturday, and kids, they listen to music. Well, we were listening to music. Kid Rock, Sheryl Crow, Picture. And I've listened to that song several times, never really paid attention to the lyrics. And all of a sudden I was like listening to the lyrics going, holy crap. Like, oh, I didn't realize that those lyrics, that's what it said. I just listened to it to listen to it. But about a year and a half ago, God started opening my eyes to lyrics. And because I would listen to a lot of rap music, not that I like the rap music, but I like listening to it because I liked the bass. I liked being able to dance to it. And then all of a sudden, God started opening my eyes to all of this music, and I was like, or all the lyrics, and I was like, holy smokes, like, that's what I'm singing. Those are the types of things that I'm listening to. And so it kind of brought me back on Saturday, when we were singing and dancing and all that stuff, and, trying to anyway, trying to get over being sick and everything, just letting them have a good time. But, again, you really have to look at, what are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you instilling into your life? What type of things are you speaking into your life? You can't expect to overcome the challenges of trauma and mental health when you are constantly fueling yourself with the same thing that is eating you alive. Can't. And that was another thing that God showed me, as I'm revamping my website and as I'm going forward with doing Neurographica, what I have found is that I can work with clients that have trauma and mental health. I can work with them, absolutely, because I know what that feels like. Excuse me, to come from the mental health and trauma side of things, over 30 years of things that I've endured in my life. But then one day I started realizing, as I was praying and as I was doing things, that I was like, you know what, Lord, I don't want to do this anymore. Because the more that I'm working with people, I'm going somewhere with this for a second, because it all goes hand in hand. The more I started working with clients and the more that I was trying to help them transform, the more I started realizing that it was doing nothing but re-traumatizing and redigging up in old wounds that I had. Even though that I know that God called me to this place, and I can listen to them and I can offer them compassion and I can help them through questions and transform. But realistically speaking, what was happening was deep down inside, I believe it may have been doing more harm, because I was listening to their stories and trying to help them, when in fact it was like me sort of reliving some of my things. And so that's where it comes back to the re-traumatization. Trying to say the word right. That's why I believe I'm transitioning into more of, well, obviously I'm still this neuroplasticity, mental health and trauma guru. Absolutely, I'm not going anywhere with this. But what I'm saying is that why I brought this up is because we don't think about the impact that other people have on us. And so I don't want to say, oh, I want to help you with your mental health and trauma. Now I want to say, I want to help you with your well being and transformation. Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference? I want to help you get better, but I want to see you transform your life. Those are two positive words taking, not that mental health and trauma is negative, but if we're looking at it from this aspect of things, I'd rather say to you, I want to help you with your well-being and your transformation instead of I'm trying to get you out of this ruminating thinking of being in the cycle of mental health and trauma. Because the more we speak that, the more we're stuck in that ruminating. So I want to go back. I really like what Trevor said here. I spent the first 30 minutes when I wake up every day and read scripture and pray before anyone else wakes up. Been doing that a couple of years now. Helps greatly from my mental health and spiritual health. And I love that, Trevor. As you know, that as a Christian woman myself, I pray before I get up. Sometimes I don't read my Bible first thing in the morning. Sometimes it's in the afternoon. But again, coming from, the Christian standpoint of things, it goes back to, again, of what are you fueling your body with? What are you fueling it with? Whether you're Christian or not, you have to look at, what are you fueling your body with? And, and things like that too. And so, and things. And then I like, I agree with Scott. Being out in nature is really peaceful place to get away from all the noise of society. And absolutely it is. It's, going and saying, getting away and just listening to the birds, letting what's happening, and getting out there in nature, getting out there with what nature has to offer. Whoops, I didn't mean to put that one up there. Sorry. And really getting out there and really showcasing it. So, and things like that. So, and I like what Trevor said too. He's like, people think I'm nuts because I drive most of the time without music on and just alone with my thoughts. Maybe I'm nuts. That's funny. It is funny, but it's serious. I mean, think about it. A lot of people use the radio because, some people just do it because they like the extra noise. There's times I just put on my Christian music and have it low, and I will pray while I'm driving, and stuff like that. And I will just pray and do whatever. I just, not that I talk to myself a lot. But there's a lot of times I do different things in the car. And things like that too. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it goes back to, no, and you can't. And this is another thing. We have to transform to grow. Otherwise we can never let go of the pain, and you can't. And that's where you definitely need to, people need to transform. You can't continue. Again, that's where I really feel the shift. And so I'm redoing a new website where it's more about well-being and transformation. Obviously, it does say, mental health and trauma, but it's more, I don't want to say upbeat because that's not really the word I'm looking for, but more positive in a way. I don't even know if that's the right word, but it's more along the lines, again, as more being well-being. I want your health and well-being to help you transform. I want to help you transform your life through neurographic art. And so, one-on-one, group sessions, things like that. And so, again, it all goes back together. You have to do change. You cannot expect to change if you're not changing what you're doing. You can't listen to the same music, negative music, over and over and over again and expect to see transformation in your life. You can't have a dysregulated nervous system. Sorry, my mind just went like out the window. Had to take a breath for a minute. Yeah, I hate when that happens anyway. You can't expect to, anyway, you can't expect to be transformed when you're continuously when you're not doing anything to transform your life, which means it's work. I mean, I've been doing this. I started this in 21, 21. So August of 21, I started this. And so it's an everyday struggle. I mean, it's an everyday thing, to work on yourself and say, oh man, like this is coming up. But I've been able to overcome a lot of things. And one of the biggest things that I'm very proud of myself, and I will just share this. I've shared this openly, very transparent, because of, there's a lot of intergenerational trauma. There's things. Well, my son, one of our sons, our second oldest, he's not talking to us right now, and that's fine. As a mom, my heart hurts, but I can't force anybody to have a relationship with me, whether it's my son, my friend. I mean, family member, it doesn't matter. I can't force anybody to have a relationship with me. But I did invite him to our daughter's birthday party on Saturday, and whether he got the message or not, I don't know, but he did not show up. I haven't seen him. We have not seen him since November. And sitting in the van, when we rented the hall for our daughter's party, just so happened as we pulled in, him and his girlfriend pulled in right behind us because they have to come down through the alley to get to their apartment. And it was all I could do not to get out of my van and run to the alley and cuss him from one end to the other. Was all I could do. But I sat with it for a moment and I say, you know what? First of all, I'm not letting the enemy win. That's not who I am. That's not who I am anymore. I'm not giving satisfaction to them because it's more. I have changed. They have not. I got to the point that I'm not stooping to anybody's level, and you shouldn't either. And so I sat in my van for a minute. I didn't get out. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. And I went in the hall and started doing what I was doing. And I was fine. Was I heartbroken? Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that. But you know what? I'm okay because I love him. I miss him. I can love him from afar. But I can't allow those things to destroy me anymore. I did the best that I could as a parent. I did the best that I could. And one of the best things that I ever did was apologize to my kids for the actions of what my parents did to me. And it was through no fault of their own. It was through the intergenerational trauma that trickled down, that my grandparents, great-grandparents, were all emotionally absent, which therefore my parents were emotionally absent. And so I'm not blaming my parents, but I'm looking at it. And one of the best things that I did for my kids is I apologized to every single one of them for anything and everything I ever did to them. And I said, I'm trying to change. I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying to be a better wife, a better mother, a better friend. And I didn't get this way overnight, but I got this way. Number one was through God saving me. And number two, because I work every day at trying to do what I can to overcome the challenges, because I will not allow anybody to destroy me. So I pay attention to what I'm listening to now. I pay attention to what I'm watching. If Sly's in the living room and he's watching something I don't want to watch, I go in the bedroom and I close the door and I'll draw. There's a lot of things. There's just, music. Again, there's a lot of influence. I feel like I'm getting emotional, but, it's just the change. I see the transformation. I see the transformation in just, a year ago. I see the transformation. We're not the same as we were 5 minutes ago, let alone 30 seconds ago. We're constantly moving. We're constantly transforming. But you have to want to transform. I can't snap my fingers and say, you're done. You're transformed. You have to put the work into it. You have to. And so Trevor says, I feel so many are resistant to change and throw their hands up in defeat. It's sad to see, knowing as a trauma survivor, that there is healing if you're willing to change and transform your life. And absolutely there is. Absolutely. And it goes back to you have to want to change. You have to want to change. And I remember it was April of 21. And I remember I had been praying to God um, for years and years and years. That's a whole nother testimony that I had it up on my YouTube at one time and ended up deleting it. I want to be able to redo my testimony over. But I remember in August of 21, I remember, or sorry, not August. No, April. Actually, it was before that. It was probably March. It was March. And I remember getting this is probably going to make me tear up. This comes from the intergenerational stuff, but I remember getting a very rude text message from a family member. And in that text message, I was called everything you could think of. I was called an effing whore, called a slut. I was called a D-bag. I was called worthless. I was called a piece of crap. You can just fill in the blanks of the other cuss words that were used. I was called everything you could think of imaginable. And it was somebody that was supposed to love me, somebody that was supposed to protect me. And no, it wasn't my husband. And I looked at that text message every day and I would cry and cry and cry. And I'd say, am I really those things? And I remember crying out to God and I said, God, I'm not those things. That's not who I am. And I don't want to be those things. And it was in April that this was probably in February, March, I think, those text messages. And every day I would just open them up and I'd say, man, I'm not that person. Why would somebody that is supposed to love me say those things to me? I was devastated, especially going through all the abuse I did in my life. And I'd say, man, but it eats at you, especially when it comes from somebody that loves you, somebody that's supposed to love you anyway. And I remember in April, God brought me to my trauma recovery program. Like I had been searching for years and years and years, couldn't find nothing. Finally, in April, it was 11 years later after my first prayer is when God opened the doorway for my change, my transformation. And in August, when I started my trauma recovery program, one of the first things that we learned about was intergenerational trauma. That the things that were said to me on that text message weren't really me, for me. It was how that other person felt about themselves. And when I tell you the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders, it was like a ton of bricks had been lifted off my shoulders, because it was in that moment that I realized, holy crap. If that person was doing that to me, was I doing that to my kids? And I was like, holy mackerel. And that's when the change started happening. I really started going in with 2 feet and saying, why do I act this way? Why am I doing this? Why do I do the things that I do? Why do I act like a lunatic? Why do I get so ticked off? Like I scream and holler, like I'm like this mad, whatever. And it was in the moments that I started realizing that obviously it was triggering and leading up to other things. But you have to watch out for what people are saying to you. Who are you around? What are you listening to? Because for 6 months, I was crushed. I was crushed because I believe those lies. Some Christians, or I know there's some that aren't, but maybe it was the lies of the enemy. That's what I believe. Trying to bring me down because the enemy knew. Sorry, my nose is running. The enemy knew that God had something greater for me in my life. But I didn't. I just kept moving forward. I didn't, although I looked at it every day, I finally did delete it. Even though, it was ingrained in my mind for the longest time. But when I started realizing that those things weren't meant for me, it was a reflection of themselves. It was like, wow, wow. And so we really have to think when we speak to people and the things that we say, what are we coming from? Are we coming from a place of dysregulation? Is our nervous system dysregulated? How are your emotions? Are your emotions out of whack? What are you listening to? What are you watching? What is your outlet? When your mind's ruminating, what is your outlet? What are you doing? Coming up with a plan. That's how transformation is still. That's how it takes place. You're welcome, Trevor. Yeah, it's so the flu actually attacked my lungs with my asthma. So, um, and then for some reason, you can ask anybody else. When I go live, my nose likes to itch. It's um, it's a nervous itch twitch, and it happens to me almost every time I go live. And so my nose just drives me absolutely nuts. But um, yeah, the lung infection is no joke. This flu has been no joke. It's just been bleh. So, and then Sly, he's not feeling well either. So it's just nuts. But you know, um, I know we had some issues in the beginning and stuff, but we're at about an hour and a half. And does anybody have any questions? Do you have any concerns? Do you have any questions or things like that too? So, yeah, it's been no fun at all. I've been to the urgent care twice, and I'm on all kinds of steroids. I want to eat myself out of house and home, which isn't good either. um, I'm like, this is really crappy. I can't stand this. But I'm like, you know what? I have to get better. If it means that I have to eat myself out of house and home in order to get better, I mean, better, then you know what? When the springtime comes, that just means I'll just get outside and work a little bit harder. But, because being on steroids really makes you hungry, and I hate it. And I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, hide all the snacks. Not that we have a whole lot. I'm like, but hide all the snacks because I don't need to be eating and gaining all this weight that I'm losing. Like, this is no fun. So, yeah, that was sad about that teenager. So it's all right, and again, it goes back to self-care. It goes back to what are you doing for self-care? Because, am I taking care of myself? I think I just get, so involved in everything that I'm doing. I noticed when I started, doing more and more and more, I noticed when my immune system really started going down. And it was in October that I was really trying to get my certification done before all the changes happened. So of course, since October I've been sick, and I'm like, I'm just going to let myself rest. I haven't done any subbing or anything like that. And I said, I'm just going to let myself rest. Because, I need to get better. I can't go in and then be around all the germy kids and then end up sick again. And it's not fair, but my health is more important. So for now anyway. So anybody have any questions about, what we talked about, anything else you want to share? Things like that too. Trevor, we'll get together and figure out when we can get you signed up back on, to get you on here and for men's mental health, and talk a little bit about your journey and your story and the inspiration and transformation that you found, through God and everything else, which is absolutely amazing. And get you on here and things like that. We'll kind of conversate back and forth and see when you'd like to get on again. And things like that too. So, and then by then, hopefully I'll be much better, and things like that too. And, and things will be a little bit better all the way around. So you are more than welcome, Scott. Again, I always forget to say it, but if you could like and share, I'd be more than appreciative. There's so many people out there, and eventually I'll get these keywords and how to get this out there one of these days. But for now, slowly but surely I'll get there, and the people that need to see it and things like that too, and just being able to share truth and and coming from a different angle of things, and it's about education. It's about educating everybody because again, I want to see people transform. And that's really what it is. Thank you, Trevor. Yes. And add me to your prayer list, both of us. Um, and that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to drink a lot of water, and that medicine makes your mouth really dry. And I got my neat cup that I got for Christmas, even got my name, and even though it's backwards, and then the company that Sly works for is on the other side of it. So I've been trying to drink a lot of it, keep my throat all gets dry. But yeah, so again, most of you know how to get a hold of me and how to get a hold of Sly. If you have any questions, or if you ever need any help or anything like that, feel free to reach out, whether it's, whether you need a prayer, whether you just need, your nervous system is hijacked and you're trying to figure out how to calm yourself down. If you just need somebody to listen to, that you could always, contact us and things like that. So I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. It means the world to me that, week after week, you guys come here and just with such great encouragement and inspiration and things like that too. And our little community will eventually, we'll build our little community, and, slowly but surely we're here. And, Scott, you can call anytime, and stuff like that. Sly, he needs somebody else to talk to. And things like that. So, you're more than welcome to. But again, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here, for being so supportive, for liking and sharing, and really helping me spread, the awareness of mental health and trauma and the correlation that they have together. I'm sure I'll see you. I think coming up is who's up live next? Jermaine Mainstream, Monday night he goes. So I'm sure I will see you on his live here shortly. I like getting on his live, and then also Graham's. Those are about the two that I follow. And then maybe by next Monday, my website will be up and going. I'll share that. You can get on there and look at it. And oh, Scott, you crack me up. It's all right. You don't bother me. Just like you tell me, what am I, the potty mouth police or whatever you told me. So I'm used to it. Again, my whole family, they cuss. I always say we live in a house divided. I'm not perfect. And so, and stuff like that too. But I hope each and every one of you have a blessed week filled with, love, transformation, prosperity. And we will see you next Monday. And yep, Trevor, you know what? You just got to get out there and do it. It's funny because I started doing my lives, and then I stopped for a while, and I started doing my videos, and then I was just like, you know what? I know, not that I know a lot, but I do know some. And you are fine, Scott. That was funny. It's just just get out there and educate on what you know. People will follow, and you will get there. I actually thought about doing like Monday evenings and then maybe like a Wednesday afternoon, and kind of do more of like, this is mental health and trauma. But then I thought maybe on Wednesdays, do more Christian type things on sharing testimonies and stuff. So I'm just trying to wait to see where I'm headed, and things like that too. So we'll see. But it's just about transforming lives and giving people the information that they need. So, you will get there slowly but surely. You just write down your plans and you will get there. And I will be so excited to, when you do start going live, and, we'll come over and be there when you do decide to do your lives as well. So again, I thank you for being here, for all your encouragement, your inspiration, all of your good laughs, because we all need good laughter is one of the best medicines. So laugh away. And I'm sure, again, I will see you here probably shortly on Mainstream Fishing if he's going live. So again, have a good night. Have a blessed week. Any questions, comments, you know how to get a hold of us. And I will see you guys soon. Thanks for hanging with me. Good night, everyone.